Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be talking about a major shakeup in the industry. Union Pacific's brand new truck competitive intermodal rail service from Los Angeles, California to Chicago, Illinois. Now this was announced just days ago. I believe it was August 7th, and this service is supposed to start on September 3rd, but it's already turning heads. So let's break it down to see what it means for the trucking industry, how it is going to affect carriers, and then we're going to crunch some numbers to see how many loads could potentially be diverted to rail. Ready? Let's go. So first off, let's get some basics down, and I'm going to quote this. Union Pacific is rolling out a high-priority Z-train service connecting the Inland Empire Intermodal Terminal in Southern California, which is right in the heart of LA Basin's Warehouse District, to Chicago Global 2 Intermodal Terminal. Now, the Inland Empire is really a powerhouse. It has something like 625 million square feet of warehouse space. And this is all within a 10-mile radius of that terminal, which means it's kind of the hotspot for e-commerce, retail, and manufacturing. Now, this isn't just a regular rail service, right? The Z-Train is different in the sense that it offers a 3-day or 72-hour transit time for time-sensitive shipments. So compared to existing intermodal options, this service actually cuts the transit time by around 20%. Now you're going to love this. The VP of Marketing and Sales at Union Pacific, his name is Kenny Rocker, he put it super bluntly, and I quote, "This service is designed to deliver consistent, reliable, and truck-competitive transportation going head-to-head with team driver truck services." Now, this service that starts on September 3rd, which is less than a month from now, it's supposed to start at 5 days a week with the potential to ramp it up if demand surges. And this is right in line with what Union Pacific has aimed to do in terms of expansion. They recently boosted their Inland Empire's capacity from 45,000 to 120,000 annual container lifts since it opened in 2021. So why is this happening now? Why is rail expanding or looking to add new services? Well, it's simple. Rail intermodal has been on an upswing, and actually US volumes for rail went up by 2.4% year over year. And it's kind of sad that while rail is dealing with an uptick in volumes year over year, in the trucking sector, we are actually seeing 14% lower volumes right now than this time last year. And part of the reason, not the full part, but part of the reason is because a lot of the freight is now moving by rail. This is our direct competitor. In short, this service isn't just about faster rail, it's literally mimicking trucking's speed, all while undercutting costs and emissions, which is interesting because emissions is something that is quite important to a lot of shippers. Just to give you an idea, a single train can haul about 200 to 300 truckloads, which means that one train takes the place of 200 to 300 trucks. Now let's talk about impact, specifically on truckers. Union Pacific has made it abundantly clear that they are actually gunning for the loads that are traditionally moved over the road by truck. So for carriers who rely on the Southern California to Chicago lane, that means that there's not going to be as much volume possibly, and it's going to be a more competitive environment. Now, not just with carriers, but more so with rail, specifically with that Z-train. So why the Z-train? Well, usually shippers will choose trucks because of their ability to be flexible. They're not on a schedule. And for time-sensitive shipments, of course, trucks are the optimal transportation option. But the Z-train, considering that it's cutting down transit times by around 20%, is able to deliver a load that it picked up from Southern California to Chicago in 3 days, plus the fact that rail is about 30 to 50% cheaper than truck. Yeah, some of those loads could shift modes. On the flip side, not all carriers are created equal in the sense that not everyone is going to be affected in a negative way by this, right? There are small carriers who might actually benefit from this new service that Union Pacific is offering, because if they specialize in last mile drayage, well, intermodal still relies on trucks to pick up and deliver loads, right? Plus, the Inland Empire's terminal location actually reduces the miles, which means that this could benefit those carriers that focus on super short hauls or local work. However, carriers who are focused on full truckload and run interstate and try to get as many miles as possible or go coast to coast, yeah, those are the carriers who might start seeing some iffiness with volumes if more of those loads start getting put on rail instead of truck. So now let's get into the numbers. How many loads will carriers lose because of this new development with Union Pacific's Z train? Well, the exact numbers are not clear yet because the service has not started yet. It's going to start again on September 3rd. However, we can look at historical data to try and estimate what we are dealing with. First, the big picture. I'm sure we all know this, but the lane from Los Angeles to Chicago, Illinois is a huge lane. Funny thing is that right now, freight moving on that lane is 25% higher than pre-pandemic. Now, intermodal already takes the place of between 3,900 to 4,200 truckloads every single week just on this lane. That breaks down to around 550 to 600 loads per day that are no longer moving by truck, but instead by rail. Now for Union Pacific's new service. So their Inland Empire terminal can handle up to 120,000 containers per year. And each container is basically one truckload. So that's about 330 containers per day that are moving by rail rather than by truck. Now the question is, how many shippers might want to switch from truck to rail? And studies showed that anywhere between 5 to 15% of shippers are ready to switch if it means that emissions are cut down and costs are cut down, but the transit times are just as fast as a team-driven truck. Based on this lane size and current trends, that could mean an additional 100 to 300 loads per day that are now moving by rail rather than by truck. Now, despite this new development, which is unfortunate, there's still a way for truckers to be able to compete with rail in this area, right? Especially in Los Angeles. Number one is focusing on shorter hauls that are under 750 miles, because this is where trucks really shine. There is quicker door-to-door delivery because there are no set schedules like in rail, so trucks are more flexible. Number two is, of course, finding your niche market, niche commodities that you haul. There are certain things where rail is not going to compete as much, doesn't mean not at all, but as much with trucks. For example, less than truckload shipments or oversized or oddly shaped loads, fragile loads that can be damaged by rail vibrations, or even hazmat. So it's not the end of the game, it's just another reason to adapt. But I'm very curious to hear what you guys think about it. I think we are all aware of the fact that truckers have been competing not just with other carriers, but also with rail for a long time. But considering this new service is really there to compete with team drivers on this lane and offer cheaper, faster service, what do you think about this? Do you think it's going to affect your operations if it turns out to be the way they hope it will be at Union Pacific? Curious to hear your thoughts. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining and watching today. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep learning. See you in the next video.